Hey guys, I'm Rachel O'Leary and it's time to do a follow-up on the bin series. Today we're going to talk about what I do to preserve my lilies over the winter. It's pretty simple really, and it's worked for me for years, so hopefully you'll find it helpful as well. Now, as you can tell from my outfit, the weather's warm again. It seems like that cold snap that took out a lot of my fry was an isolated 2-day thing. Thanks a lot, Mother Nature. Anyway, so the other day when I pulled out all the fry, I had to pull out all the plants first. And all of these buckets, if you remember correctly, are the various lilies that I grew this year. And they are labeled as to which species. Now I have to find my notes on which is which, but this year's tubs, the plants were an amazing success. So I really want to preserve these because lilies are very expensive. Some of these nicer varieties, you know, can be $20 or $30 a type. Since all of them flowered and all of them split, I hope to be able to share some next spring. So all I did was to pull the buckets out of the bins and let them sit here. And all you really have to do is go and trim off all the growth. So I do that, removing any debris or things like that as I'm going. Now, I cut just above the crown. I couldn't get over how well these plants did. Now, if you remember correctly, I fertilized about every 5 weeks with root tabs, and I didn't even use anything special. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I did a series almost every day of the various blooms that I got from these plants. Now, if these were all cold tolerant varieties, I could theoretically leave them outside. But the vast majority of the ones I have are tropicals. So I always just move them all in. It only takes a second to do this. And normally what happens is I store them in my basement in a fish box. I pull them out about the middle of March or so, and I have new leaf growth on every type. And at that point I can move them outside, fill my bins and move them outside and let them start to get some real growth. Now, if you remember correctly, the reason I use all these buckets and solid bags is so that when I fertilize all these various lilies, all that fertilizer doesn't leach into the bulk of the water, causing more algae. And it really went super well this summer. All right, so now they are all cut back. And all I do for these is put them in black plastic garbage bags. I'm going to put these giant ones, because they're already in black, just in there. And then I put the buckets or whatever container I'm using. Tie it up, put them in a fish box, and then I move them to the basement where I put them on the cold side of my basement where the laundry area is, and I literally just let them sit there. I don't peek, I don't open them, I don't water them, I don't do anything but let them sit there all winter long. So I'll continue to do that with all of these, and you don't even have to use a fish box. You can just wrap them up in black plastic, stick them somewhere, your garage or in your basement, and leave them until the spring. Now for all these marginals, I'm sure I'm going to get mixed results. You know, a lot of times when people do the summer tubbing, they keep everything in its own individual pot. And that's because a lot of different plants have different overwintering needs. I really like the way it looks to have mixed species in a pot, so that's what I do. And I generally have pretty good success. I have the vast majority of plants come back the next year. And all I do with them is similar to these. I cut them way back, and then I'll flip over these tubs and overwinter them under the tubs. And that sort of acts as a greenhouse effect to prevent them from getting the bulk of the cold, because it gets very cold here in the winter. And if you remember correctly, that one over there, this corkscrew, came back for me this year. Now, it's not that impressive, but I probably should have fertilized it. Those rushes I've been working with for this, the same ones for about 6 years, so I'm hopeful that a lot of these plants will survive. So I'm going to go ahead and chop them back and then show you the results. So this is the aftermath of the bins. That giant box of stuff is all the water hyacinth. You can see why it's banned in a lot of places. Remember, I started out with, I think, 3 plants, and that is an overflowing box of compressed leftovers. These are the other plants that I plan to save. So I've chopped all the plants back. And I've removed the root mass. You can see this is the average size root mass I removed from each pot. It's really impressive. And all summer long, fry were hiding in those roots. So it's really valuable, these marginal plants. Now, if I had a bigger house with really large windowsills, I would be tempted to overwinter a lot of these plants inside as house plants. They do really, really well that way. But I don't want to add grow lights to the fish room. And I don't really have space to store them down there. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to line all these pots up and then flip over some of the black bins to insulate them over the winter. And then I'll check them in the spring around the same time I check my lilies to see if I have any growth. Now, the growth will be super pale, almost white, but I can move them outside and start watering them then, give them a little fertilizer, and they generally come back. You can see just how massive this root structure was. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun summer tubbing in your own yards, or at least following along with my adventure. As always, thank you guys for the continued donations and support. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And stop by my Facebook as well as my website, MsJinx.com, where you can find my upcoming speaking engagements, my current stock list, and information on all things nano. The weekend of October 14th through 16th is the All Aquarium Catfish Convention down in Herndon, Virginia. Now, it's hosted by PVOS, and it is without a doubt one of my favorite events of all time. I will only be there for one night, Friday, where I'll be selling out of my room and attending some presentations and generally just hanging out. I hope to see some of you there, and I'll put the link below. I also need some input. My friend Vito blew me this custom fish bowl, and what do you guys think I should put in it? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you have any suggestions, comments, or questions, let me know.